So I'm going to share with you this word that I just opened to begin this last reflection of the day. And it's from the Ecclesiastes 1:12. And it says, even wisdom is meaningless. I, the teacher, have been king of Israel in Jerusalem. I set my heart on studying and examining critically all that is done under heaven. It is a burdensome task which God has given to the sons of men. I have seen everything that is done under the sun, but all is meaningless. It is chasing the wind. What is bent cannot be straightened. What is not will not come to be. What is not will not come to be. I thought to myself, see, I have increased and promoted wisdom more than anyone who ruled Jerusalem before me, and I have experienced to the full both wisdom and knowledge. I set my heart on comparing wisdom with foolishness and stupidity, and I discovered that this also is chasing the wind. For the wiser you are, the more worries you have, and the more you learn, the more you suffer. The word of the Lord. I think that sounds familiar to a lot of things we have discussed today. So I'm going to speak about the angels of God, but in the sense of our guardian angel specifically, our guardian angel's role in our life. And the reason I'm going to speak about that is because we spoke about the devil and we spoke about this darkness. And we have to speak about the light, and we have to speak about angels of God and the opposite direction in order to give it coherence to all this experience of reflections, so that we can go to bed tonight and be balanced. And so we don't want to walk in with a limb back to bed, So I think that we know from the scriptures and from our Catholic doctrine that God has assigned to us a guardian angel, and we believe that, and each one of us has a very different level of understanding of that, and also of faith in that sense, and also of relationship with the angel. And it's a mystery, because sometimes I am in trouble somewhere, and I kind of look around and say, can you do something about this? And then nothing is done, and I say, I wonder, what's going on. This will be so easy for an angel to do, and why is he not doing it? So it's not that I am questioning my angel or tempting him or anything like that, but it's just that you try to turn your angel into a human being. It's kind of a natural tendency. You try to treat him as a human, and you forget the angel is not a human being, and he's not of a human nature. See, it's like when you see the creation of angels and human beings, though we are creatures created by God, we are absolutely different. There's nothing in comparison to our nature. We do have the same spirit, the Spirit of God, but we are absolutely different, no comparison. Among angels, they are similar. They are of the nature of angels, though they are so different among them. All these choirs of angels, they are all totally different. They are intellectual bodies, they are not physical, but they are defined as persons, which is difficult for us to understand the fact that spirits are intellectual bodies, and they don't have a physical body, but they are persons. So you will ask yourself, how could you define a person that is not physical and is only intellectual, and how would you define the form of that person? But they do have a form, and they do have a presence. It's like my vision of the angels when I had the experience with the Lord, and even then after, is that they appear in many different ways, but they do have a defined presence, each one of them, depending on where they belong to. Seraphims, cherubims, all of them have a different it's a persona. It's a very defined person, and a persona also, because they have a character, a personality, they have a persona. Like we are persons, but we also have a persona of ourselves. And we personify ourselves through our character, our attitude, our psychology. Many things define our persona. So angels also have a persona, and they are persons also. They are a spirit, and they have a persona. So now, when we relate to the angel, we have to remember that they are not human. See, therefore, we couldn't relate to a spirit the way we relate to a human being. So they will not perform a supernatural act in your life the way you will expect it. Because, for us, a favor from the angel will be remove this obstacle, destroy this enemy, open this door. This will be like the kind of request we ask from an angel, because angels can do it. So therefore, bring fire from heaven. We want to burn these people, right? Like almost like what the apostles were telling Jesus. That's the way they felt so powerful walking with Jesus that they wanted fire from the sky to burn the Samaritans that didn't want to give shelter to Jesus, right? And because they felt the power. In a way, it was so tender. I'm sure that Jesus was smiling, inside, though he corrected them. But for him, must have been very cute to see these guys asking for fire from heaven. I mean, he's God. And he said, those guys were his little children. And then they felt so good with him and say, okay, let's burn them. And somehow we do the same with our guardian angel. It's like the closer we get to this relationship with our angel, the more familiar we get with this power of God that is bestowed upon us, and then we feel comfortable. Say, oh, come on, go ahead and do it. Like now, and then we have this problem in the communication with the angel, where we end up sometimes really dry and feeling like nothing is going on with the angel. And I wonder if he's around all the time, as only sometimes. What is his role? And it's just because he's not performing according to my expectations. But the truth is this: an angel doesn't have to move much as you think so, because angels are not confined to space and time. So therefore, you don't have to call an angel to move to where you are. You are the one that has to tune in with the angel to be in his presence the way you need to be acknowledged. Because we have to, the spiritual realm is something we have to acknowledge. We don't have to call it upon us. You see, it's like Our Lady. You pray to Our Lady, and you are immediately in her presence. See? And then therefore there is no time or space related to our relationship with her, or any saint, any spirit, much less God that is omnipresent. He's everywhere all the time. But with spirits that are in the glory of God, they are outside time and space, therefore they are immediately present within love. They say spirits obey. They are in a perfect state of obedience. So if you say, Saint Paul is listening, it's right there, you are in his presence, because he's immediately obedient to love. So anything you ask from an angel, from a saint, from Our Lady, it will be immediately heard, instantaneously, because they are not in time or space. They are in the eternal presence of God, no time or space involved. So when we see that Our Lady came down from heaven to earth and appeared to us, what it is God allows Our Lady to open herself up and makes herself visible in a given spot. See, but that doesn't mean that she had to travel to the spot and locate herself physically on the spot. That's not exactly what happens in the spiritual world. See, they could be in touch with any area of the material world instantaneously, because they are outside time and space. It's like spirits, when they roam around here, they don't see these walls. See, these walls do not exist for them. They see our spirit, they see our soul, and our soul with a physical body that is a mortal body, that is a temporary state, almost an illusion in the spiritual world, this temporary life. That's why when a spirit see us, they can immediately see, let's say, disease. Because when we have an illness, then it's clear in the spirit, from the spirit to see it, because it's something that's completely out of harmony, right? So it's obviously clear, but the physical side of us is almost something that is like is to the spiritual world doesn't mean anything. The physical side of us. It's like if you from the spiritual world you will see the earth, the whole earth, you will see a compacted thing that is made of millions of particles, right? So they will probably, from the spiritual side, they will see millions of particles together, like an energy almost, something like that. That is like the view from the spiritual world. It's a whole different thing. It's like, I give you an example. If you are a fetus inside your mother's womb, and you have a sensorial life with the outer side, you have a sensorial connection to where you're going to be delivered to this life, material life. So from the womb of your mother, you are already existing within the outside through your sensorial field. You are connected. That's why they say these babies in the womb of the mother are already affected by all the environment, and also the feelings of the mother and the feelings of the family and all of that are affecting this child, because the child is existing already, within all of this realm. And then the child is not able to conceive what's going to happen outside or what is taking place outside, but is connected, and affected by it. Exactly the same happens to us right now with the spirit. Our soul is in the womb of the flesh and is sensorially connected to the spiritual world, where it's going to be delivered at the end. But it's no way that our soul is able to grasp and assimilate and digest exactly how it looks out there, what's going on out there, all of that, just like a fetus. But we feel it, You feel the spiritual world, you feel the spiritual field. But it's just the same as a baby in the womb of the mother. You feel the outside, you are sensorially connected, but that's as far as you can go. So that's how far we can go to the spiritual world. But still, outside there in the spiritual world is a state of perfection, spiritually speaking, because the spirits are in the full knowledge of the whole context of the truth. They know everything. See, souls in purgatory, they have the full knowledge of everything already. That's why it's so painful for them. All the unresolved matters of earthly life are painful, because they know the truth. It's like now we are partially aware, and therefore we are not as conscious of the consequences of our actions. So therefore they don't hurt as much as they're supposed to. So that's why we end up having to suffer that later on when we come into the fullness of the spiritual world. So now the relationship we have with the angel is such a tender presence, because the angel knows that how apart are we from the reality of the spirit, because we are in the womb. So we are, for the angels, we are a baby, that is a baby soul that is inside this womb, and it still cannot see, still cannot act upon the spiritual world, and is going to be delivered to that spiritual world. So he is a guardian of the gestation of our soul. It's a guardian. It's like saying a husband will be the guardian of a pregnant wife, right? The guardian of that baby and the wife, and the husband is making sure she's all right and resting and this and the other, and the husband is there like a guardian angel, right, for that baby in the womb. So it will be, but the connection between the baby in the womb and that guardian angel that is the husband is something very hard to explain, So we have to be sure about this. The angel is an incredible guide, because he is the eyes of our soul. We are not able to see the spiritual world. The angel will see for us. That's why they say, if we are faithful to the angel will go before us. And he will open up the way, and he will make sure we walk on the path of God. And he will make sure that every need that we have will be supplied, will be fulfill, because they are the ones in charge of that as long as we are in obedience. So when we are not in obedience to God, the angel is behind us. And then it's a witness. It's a company though, but it's a witness. And before us will go the spirit of evil that is going to make sure we don't make it to where we have to go. And it's going to fool us, and it's going to give us a forfeited path. Because he is about forgery. He's about duplication and falsity. And he's going to duplicate the path in a way that it looks real, but he's going to take us astray. So that is the difference between the two, the fallen angel and the guardian angel. And the guardian angel is assigned to us from the very first moment we are conceived in the womb of our mother. From that very first instant. It's like creation of a human being. The moment of creation comes with an angel, right, instantaneously. You notice that the incarnation of Jesus even took place like that. The archangels and Gabriel came in to speak to Mary. Instantaneously she was pregnant, right? Instantaneously. So, but the angel came. It's the one that came. That is God himself through the angel. It's the same, you know. The angel is a messenger of God, but at the same time, the angel carries the voice of God, because it's the voice of our conscience, and also carries the plan of God in our life. So it's just a very mysterious presence in our life, because angels are practically like the hands of God, like the eyes of God, the heart of God, everything of God. The angels are. It's like an extension. And at the same time, when we connect with the will of God and live within the will of God, we also become that extension of God that reaches everywhere, because we become that cell of creation within the love of God. So, if we understand the relationship we have with the angels, then we understand what the devil does with that. You notice that angelology, that is New Age, they have millions of names of angels. And that is the first sign that is the angelology of Satan, all those names. Because we are not to have any names of angels other than the names that the church has revealed to us through the scriptures, which are only 3 names. The 3 archangels, Saint Gabriel, Saint Michael, Saint Raphael. It's the only 3 that we are allowed to invoke. We have names of archangels that haven't been revealed through the years to mystics of the church, doctors of the church, and so on, like Saint Uriel, that is an archangel, and some others. But they are not, the church will not allow us to invoke them. We are not to invoke them. Our guardian angel is not to be named. We are to call him guardian angel. I mean, personally, privately, you can call your guardian angel any way you want, because that is something between you and your angel. If you want to call your guardian angel Tony, I don't think he's going to be offended. But it's going to be funny, because, you're trying to turn him into a human. And it's not necessary to baptize an angel. So there's no need for that. So we should keep an angel where the angel belongs. See? Keep them in the angelical ground. If you want to see bad signs about any kind of a spirituality, anyone that comes along and tries to give you the name of an angel, the name of your guardian, especially if you want to see great danger in your life, let anyone name your guardian angel. That will be one of the greatest dangers. Why? Because you tapping into the spiritual world with names. What if you are invoking the wrong angel, and someone gave you a name of a fallen angel, and you are calling it as your guardian angel? Then that fallen angel will become your guardian angel by will, because you call upon that. And the church is telling us we are not to invoke any other angels than the 3 archangels known by name specifically, Saint Michael, Saint Gabriel, Saint Raphael. The only 3. And our guardian angel as guardian angel. It's like, well, if I pray along with someone, and I say, I unite myself in communion of prayer with my guardian angel and the guardian angel of this, your daughter or child or whoever I'm praying for, and then in a union with angels and all of that, I present this prayer before the Lord and this and the other. But always saying guardian angels or the 3 archangels or something like that. Otherwise, you can walk into a very dangerous realm. And you see angels, fallen angels, are very fast on providing all kinds of divination and information that is accurate, absolutely accurate, because they know we fall for that. You notice how people that are very good Catholics, sometimes they go to some kind of visionary or some kind of instrument of God, so to say, and they come up with all this weird information about angels and names and things like that. And then because they told you things that were accurate about your life, you take that as true. You take that as something holy because the information was accurate. Big problem, I give you an example. In the Acts of the Apostles, you can see St. Paul. I forgot where he was, probably Ephesus or somewhere like that. And then there was this woman walking behind, right beside him and his disciple, or I don't know if it was Barnabas or whoever it was with him. And then they were walking, and this woman was telling everyone, "These are the prophets of the Lord. They are these." She was telling the truth about them all the time. All of a sudden, St. Paul got annoyed and turned around and ordered the spirit of divination that was speaking through the woman and deliver her, cast the spirit out. And then the owners of that woman, the ones that exploited her through that spirit of divination, almost killed St. Paul because he ruined their business, right? So she had a spirit of divination, and the spirit of divination knew everything. He knew they were prophets, they were apostles of God, they were powerful instruments of the Lord, apostles, and she was saying that. And then if you go to one of those, you will think they are holy because they know everything. They tell you things of the future, they tell you things of the past, they tell you things about your life that nobody should know, and then you are all impacted saying, this must be God. It's not God. That information they are holding, they have that information. So it's like when people go to spiritual sciences, when they go to spiritualism and there is a medium, and then they're supposed to be talking to a deceased relative, and then they come along and they speak to them even with their own voice, and they recognize the voice, and then on top of that with all the information, the accurate information, and it's a demon talking, because the soul is not allowed to come. No one will be allowed to speak to us after they are gone. You see, there are only very specific gifts of souls of purgatory that manifest themselves to giving instruments of God, and they appear in a very peculiar way, and those things are not through mediumship, are not through invocations. They just appear like that and manifest themselves and communicate their needs. And they don't communicate messages to anybody. They just communicate needs they have to a given instrument of God that is holy and is prayerful, and God chose to help souls in purgatory. And that's as far as it goes with the spiritual world and souls. That's as far as it goes. The rest is a very dangerous field of divination. So our guardian angel is the compass, the map, the guide for all our endeavors on this earthly life, on this exile. He will be with us until the day we appear before the tribunal of the Lord. And if we make it into the glory of God, we will be part of His quarters. Because you see, angels come from 9 different quarters. And guardian angels are not necessarily one quarters of angels called guardian angels only. We have angels that could guard us, that they can come from any quarters of angels. See, so that's why we have so many different spiritualities, charismas in the church. Our spirituality comes directly through our guardian angel. So at the end of this life, when we go into the eternal realm of the spirits, we will enter the quarters of our angel, and we will enter through that spirituality. That's why within every quarters of angels there are hundreds and hundreds of levels of spirituality within a quarters of angels, because there are myriads of angels, millions and millions of them, and they have so many levels within every quarters of angels. And so therefore we all belong to different realms of the spirit. God created us through one of those existing realms of the spirit. As a matter of fact, there are prophecies and visions of the economy of salvation where they lead you to understand that perhaps the economy of salvation is also part of replacing the fallen angels with us, and that we will occupy the vacant places they left when they were thrown down. That is something that is probably conceived through a logical theology that is not necessarily revealed truth. It's just something people can come up with, and sometimes it could make sense. I don't know if that is true or not. I haven't seen that mystically or didn't see that in my experience with God. It's just things that I heard and things that come through sometimes doctors of the church. And so therefore it must be revealed privately from God into mystics and things like that. To me, it makes a lot of sense, but I wouldn't be able to say, hey, this is what is happening. We are replacing the fallen angels. Then now, one thing for sure is within the economy of salvation, the angel is to guide us with the love of God. And I can tell you my work as far as the angels is concerned, especially the guardian angel. In the beginning of my conversion, when I came back into the church, I was working very hard on trying to make sure that I am in tune with my angel. First of all, because I saw him during my experience. Secondly, because I had experience with him that was very difficult as far as he appeared in the same rock where I saw Jesus. Before I saw Jesus, I saw him. And he was on top of the rock, like Jesus was in the rock when he appeared, but the angel appeared on top of the rock. And then first I saw him sideways, and I saw this incredible, beautiful figure there that was very kind, but wasn't looking at me, but was talking to me. He was just like this, and I was there. So he's talking like this, and he's saying all of these things to me. And then sometimes since I was in a purgatorial state in a lake, when I was in front, because constantly while I was in the lake, all of these spirits were like moving. And then I was facing whole different areas of sin of my whole life. Although of all those 33 years I was in mortal sin. And this whole scenario of my sinful life, or all those years, was present there, but it was flowing around me. And then I will be confronted with many different areas. So the angel is looking sideways. I'm there within that realm of sin in a purgatorial state. And then sometimes his whole face, because of the area of sin that I was in at the moment, his whole face will become so hard, and it will become almost as if it was a skull, like almost bones like that. Though he's not physical, but that was the appearance. And then I will be really like this, like impacted, and he will come back into this tenderness and love and compassion again. And that was the experience I had with him. And then when I became a Catholic again, after all this experience was over and I was released, set free from captivity, and came back to my home in California and went back to church, and I began to go to church every day and find all these incredible things about the church, and fell madly in love with the church. But I didn't know I had a mission, because I spent like 2 years in silence without sharing with anyone my experience with God. But then during that time I was begging the Lord to show me how to deal with my guardian angel, how to communicate with my guardian angel. How do I find his language, the way he moves with me and around me and in everything in my life, and even around my sons and all of that. So I began to understand something very incredible, which was this. The angel, I will use this term, not because it's necessarily accurate in a physical way, because none of that is physical, but he wings you, the wing of the angel. He touches you in such an incredible, tender way that is so perfect and tender and beautiful and loving that you can hardly obey to that. Because he will tell you like this, he will go, forgive, just like that, very softly and tenderly, in situations that are difficult and demanding and dramatic, and he will come in with this incredible tenderness, and he will touch you deep in your heart, and he go, forgive, just like that. Or will say, be patient, and do not be afraid, things like that. That is the language of the angel. And it's so difficult to obey to that, because it's way tender, way loving and compassionate, and so unimposing. It's never imposing. It's never demanding. It's a perfect love, and we are so hardened by our imperfections of this state that we are in. We are so hardened by sin, and we have a very difficult time obeying to such tenderness, such softness, such beauty and love, and so it's almost is so small that it's way too big for us. See, and then it's very hard to obey, and that's why we have such a hard time detecting the presence of our angel in our life, because it is way too loving and perfect, in that sense. So we have to, the closer we get to become smaller, more simple, more humble, the more we will have this complete audition to the angel's voice. We will have this feeling of what he's trying to tell us, and then we will be able to bend and obey the voice of our conscience. You know that every act has a voice, every act, a good one and a bad one. And we have to constantly convert our actions into the light. That's why when we talk about conversion, we talk about something we have to do our whole lifetime, every day, every time. We are converting. We are not converted. And we have to understand that. A lot of people make the mistake of saying, I converted in such and such state. Say, oh, no, you're still here. You couldn't possibly be converted, right? You are converting. That's the real word. The precise word, I am converting. And converted is someone that is in a casket already, right? It's ready to go. It's converted. But now we are converting. And then we have to make sure we do not stop the process of converting. Converting is constantly bringing everything that is dark into the light. Every little thing. We have to do that all the time. That is converting. Converting everything towards God all the time. It's like almost we are in this windmill, that is constantly moving, blowing this wind in the right direction. See, and we have to, because our heart is filled with this flow of good and evil. And we ate that fruit, and that sap of good and that sap of evil is flowing through us. So we have to constantly distribute it as soon as it hits the heart, because it's flowing. Both of them are flowing. And then there's a time when it goes, zoom, the sap of evil comes through in your heart. And then what do you do with it? You don't want to just let it flow. You don't want to let it flow back into your system, because then you will be unbalanced. You will have more of the evil than the good. So what you do is, once it comes to the heart and it speaks to your mind and tells you, hey, I want you to hate, I want you not to forgive, I want you to be worried, I want you to be depressed, nothing is going to work. You say, wait a minute, away from me. This is not of God. I convert this into goodness, I exercise these feelings, this whatever got to my heart. And that's converting. You convert all the time, you convert. And then what flows back into your system is the spirit, that you brought in to exercise that what came to your heart. And you have to constantly do that. Constantly all of your life. And it becomes second nature when you are faithful. Because in the beginning, it's hard. It is hard as it is when you are willing and deciding to give up a vice, and you have convulsions and you are so attached to it. You are addicted to something, and then you have to go through these incredible pains and sufferings trying to give up that vice because you are addicted. And then that is in the beginning also the hardness of working to turn everything into God and to convert everything, because it becomes difficult to be converting that. But that is only the beginning. There is a time when that becomes second nature, and you are constantly doing it effortlessly. You see, because that is what you do all the time, every day. It's not that fighting evil will become effortlessly, but what becomes effortlessly is working on converting everything. That is what becomes second nature to you, because that is the path you are on. So you never bind darkness. You never bind evil. You don't bind ever. And then when it gets you by surprise, because sometimes it might find you in a weak spot, because you could be troubled by something. You know how when you are in a dangerous spot of a city, and there are thieves all over the streets, and you're driving through, and the way they rob you is they come and knock on this window, because they want to take something away from this side of the car, right? So what they do is they call you from there. If you pay attention to that window, they break this window to take what is right here beside you, because you place your attention there. That is typical of thieves. They call you on the wrong direction to take control of the direction you left. So sometimes, though we are working on being on the move of converting things, the devil can play a trick on us like that. Just get us to focus on this side, and then all of these that came into the heart made it back into the mainstream of the blood. And we were intoxicated, poisoned for a while, because then we have to wait until the whole thing goes through, and we are all intoxicated, and it has to go back into the heart, and now it's double load, because the one that naturally comes plus the one we let by. So that's a double load, and then we have to work hard on exercising that, letting go of that, and getting rid of that, and then that is a work that we have to do sometimes. That's when it becomes difficult. It's hard, but this spiritual work is something we are called to do all the time. But the guardian angel plays an incredible role on this, because one of the things I can tell you about the guardian angel is that the guardian angel has a lot of power for our lives with God. God will grant our guardian angel things you cannot never imagine, how he can get things really quickly. But the guardian angel is a very strict company. It's a very firm presence, because he's not human. See? And he knows what we need to make it. And that's the only thing he's going to allow in your life. It's the only thing. So you can ask him whatever you want. If that is not going to make sense to your spiritual growth and salvation of your soul, he's not going to blink an eye to do anything for you. He's not going to grant it at all. And he's never going to stand there watching you do wrong. He's going to be very seriously and firm, standing there, seeing you wrong and despising the wrong. Because he's not going to be budging for that. He's never going to be condoling that. So we have to understand that the presence of an angel is the presence of God in our life, but it's a presence that is in charge of setting up a discipline in our lives that will make us home, that will take us home. So imagine, it's like, you notice when athletes, sports people, they have trainers. And those that make it to be champions, they had the toughest trainer. That's why they made it. Otherwise, they would have never made it. Because to be a champion, competing, especially in the world of today, the world of sports today that are so sophisticated, physically speaking, the skills they need to compete. So they need very tough trainers. Trainers that will not allow a single flaw in the athlete, in whatever sports they are involved. And then same thing happens with the trainers in music and the arts. People that guide you, and lead you and teach you, those are very stiff and disciplined teachers. So the angel is 10,000 times more than that. Because, to master the skills and the science of the spirit takes much more than to master the skills of the physical world. The skills of the physical world are temporary skills, mortal skills. They are going to come to pass. It's something temporary, something not transcendental. Any science of any angle of the spiritual world, the spiritual realm, is eternal. So therefore, imagine the training for that. It has to be extremely demanding, very demanding, high demand. And that's the angel, that's the guardian angel. If you want to know who the guardian angel is a very skillful trainer, very strict, extremely firm, And He will not allow a thing in your life that is not going to take you to win this race. Nothing is going to stand in the way. He's not going to allow anything that is going to hurt you. Nothing that is going to slow you down. None of that He's going to go for. So if you want to really be in tune with your angel and use your angel to speed up a lot of things that are stuck in your life and to break all the walls and obstacles in your life, you have to be ready to obey. You have to be ready to be taught. You have to be ready to be led by Him. And then the only way to do it is if you are willing to really go for the truth, going radically for God, going 100% for the light. It's the only way your angel will be so active in your life that it's going to push you and push you and take you right to where you belong and open all the doors. Because He knows all you want in your life is to be a child of God. And you want to be in the kingdom of the light. And you want to make it to the city of light, of the Jerusalem of heaven. Then the angel is so active. Because he knows you know what you want. You know what God wants from you. And you are on. You are on. And then He understands all the limitations you are in. He understands all of that. So He's going to make sure He completes your way all the time. And that is one of the most important things we have to realize. So we couldn't possibly expect a lot of work from our angel if we are not completely inside our hearts, completely convinced that we have to become children of God by becoming holy. So an angel is a perfect holiness. So he's not going to go for anything else but holiness. You will never buy an angel without holiness. There's no way you can go for anything else. So what will be the only thing you can do to become one with your angel? When your heart is convinced that you want to be holy, that all you want to do is be faithful to God. That's your only aim. Your only reason of existing, your only goal will be to become holy, to be with God, to be a child of the light, to become what God wants you to become and created you to become. And that is the angel's best time in your life. Because then the angel is going to become an incredible force on your side. And it's going to go along with everything. And you're going to have this incredible company so effective. Regardless of what we do, even if we don't go along with all what I'm saying, the guardian angel is still going to be with us. But I'm talking about an economy. You can turn your guardian angel's presence into something very fruitful. You can use him highly. You notice when we read and we get in touch with the spirituality and the spiritual path of perfection, the rules of perfection, and then they tell you, ask God big. He owns everything. Ask Him big, in a big way. He likes that because He is everything. So don't be afraid to ask Him for big things. But when people hear that, then they say, well, I think I'm going to ask Him for a big car then, because we have to understand, what it means. What it means is the big things within the realm of the spirit are the big things that are eternal. Anything that transcends the material world is big. Anything that will not transcend the material world is nothing. So therefore, we want to ask God for big things. Ask Him to turn you into a child of the light. Say, Lord, make me holy. Help me to love. Help me to forgive. Help me to be safe in your hands, to trust in you. Help me to be obedient. Those are big things. Because you see, we are not capable of doing that on our own. Therefore, they are too big for us. So you want to ask God for something gigantic? Ask Him to make you obedient to His law. Obedient to Him. That is big. And then the Lord said, well, now I got an ambitious child. This one wants the real thing. This one wants the kingdom. And that's the only thing I want to give him, my kingdom. Because he's my son, my child. So, and this is what makes God happy. If you go because you finally open your eyes and then the angel is on fire. Because the angel is going to be so active and fruitful in your life, because he knows that what you want and what you're looking for is exactly the only thing that makes sense in your life. So therefore, you are transcending into the eternal realm, and you become a different human being. Because if you take two people, and both of them are Catholics, and one of them has this eternal sense of living, then it's focus on salvation. Focus on doing good in every aspect and converting everything towards God. Caring for everybody's salvation at the same time. And the person that is Catholic also, but is focused all on earthly life. So the prayers of this one that has this eternal sense of living, the prayers are, Lord, make me holy. Lord, help me to overcome these weaknesses that are hurting people, offending you, hurting my soul. Please, Lord, have mercy. Novenas, Stations of the Cross, fastings, pilgrimage for that intention only, right? And then the other one is one that is only focused on temporary life. Lord, help me with my economy. Lord, make them love me a little better. Lord, make sure I don't get into an accident. Oh, Lord, help me. I'm getting sick. All of this, and all earthly, all human, nothing transcendental, all for this temporary life, right? So if you take those two, one is living filled with hope, peace, and joy. The other is living filled with misery. It's a life that goes like a roller coaster like this. You be happy when things are working well. You be completely miserable when things are wrong. And then you are a wreck. See, those are the two different Catholics. So we have to take a choice, because the only way we could see that we could capitalize in the actions and the role of the angel in our life is if we focus on the eternal sense of living. And our whole heart, our whole being is focused on eternal salvation, on transcending into salvation. And therefore, we are not focused on depending and a slave or temporary gain. It doesn't matter, the temporary gain becomes secondary, because it's like the gospel says, strive for what is above, right? The things of above. Everything else will be added on to you. Everything else. If we only do that, if we will only trust in that, if we will only know that if I ask God to make me holy, to help me to overcome all these weaknesses that separate me from His love, if we only knew that, then everything else in our life will be resolved, because God will take care of it. If we really focus on what is real, on what is transcendental, and what is the gift of life for real, and that will solve everything. Because one of the reasons why it's so dangerous to be focused only on temporary life is that when things go right in the right direction, you become very loose, and then you become lazy. And then you take things for granted. And then when things go wrong, you become obsessively desperate and negative, because you don't want anything to take you away from your comfort zone. See, anything that threatens your comfort zone is like a curse. And then it's a wreck. What kind of life is that? It's a miserable life. Pagans live like that. So a Christian living like that is a misfortune. It's like a disgrace. It's a shame. The angels hide. Everyone hides. Because that is horrible to waste your treasures away like that. So God is asking us to understand that all this angelology is a gift of God as a company to us, but it's a supernatural gift that we should not treat it as a human gift, because it's not human, it's angelical. So our guardian angel is not a human being. Our guardian angel is an angel that is of a nature of an angel, and it's absolutely different than us. But it is a child of God. It's a creature like us, but it has a complete different role, very different role than us. And then he is on our side. But he is an angel, and therefore is absolutely 100% in the kingdom of God, for the kingdom of God, and only in God. Only that. So there's no way we could negotiate a relationship with an angel as long as we are not striving to be 100% of God, only for God, in God, everything for God. Then the angel is on. Otherwise, the angel is just a witness. It's just going with you, and then going to the presence of God at the end of this life, there you are, there he is, he saw everything, he knows everything, couldn't hardly act in your life because your aim wasn't God, therefore he couldn't do nothing because he's a messenger of God. And he wants to do everything for God and turn you into God, bring you into God. You see, and then you didn't want to, so he became a witness, and a permanent witness, because he will never leave you. He will always be with you. But in order to get him to be active, we have to understand this mystery. We have to make sure in our hearts that we truly mean it, that we want to be of God, and that all we want is salvation for our soul, that all we want is to serve God every day of our lives. Then the guardian angel is active and fruitful, and extremely fruitful. So I'm going to ask the Lord for His word. And I'm reading to you from Galatians 5:13, the letter of St. Paul to the Galatians. True freedom. You, brothers and sisters, were called to enjoy freedom. I am not speaking of that freedom which gives free rein to the desires of the flesh, but of that which makes you slaves of one another through love. For the whole law is summed up in this sentence: you should love your neighbor as yourself. But if you bite and tear each other to pieces, be careful lest you all perish. Therefore I say to you, walk according to the Spirit, and do not give way to the desires of the flesh. For the desires of the flesh war against the Spirit, and the desires of the Spirit are opposed to the flesh. Both are in conflict with each other, so that you cannot do everything you would like. But let the Spirit lead you. This has nothing to do with submitting to the law. You know what comes from the flesh: immorality, impurity, and shamelessness, idol worship and magic, hatred, jealousy and violence, anger, ambition, division, factions, and envy, drunkenness, orgies, and the like. I again say to you what I have already said: those who do these things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. But the fruit of the Spirit is charity, joy, and peace, patience, understanding of others, kindness and fidelity, gentleness and self-control. For such things there is no law or punishment. Those who belong to Christ have crucified the flesh with its vices and desires. If we live by the Spirit, let us live in a spiritual way. Let us not be one-sided. Let there be no rivalry or envy of one another. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
So we praise the Lord and we glorify Him. Amen.